Winston Churchill, man of the 20th century.
Lift up your heart. All will come right. Out of the depths of sorrow and of sacrifice will be born again the glory of mankind. This is the message to all the states and nations, bond or free. We cannot yet see how deliverance will come, or when it will come. But nothing is more certain than that every trace of Hitler's footsteps, every chain of his infested and corroding fingers will be sponged and purged, and if need be, blasted from the surface of the earth. This then, my lords and gentlemen, is the message which we send forth today. Lift up your hearts. All will come right. Out of the depths of sorrow and of sacrifice will be born again the glory of mankind. This is the message to all the states and nations, bond or free. Lift up your heart. All will come right. Out of the depths of sorrow and of sacrifice will be born again the glory of mankind. This is the message to all the states and nations, bond or free.
This is one of the many reasons why Winston Churchill is arguably considered the man of the 20th century. His infectious nationalism and pride for democracy was the driving force that saved the world from Hitler's reign. Born Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill, 2 months prematurely on November 30th, 1874, Churchill would become one of the most influential people concerning the entire world. Churchill had qualities of a great leader, even as a schoolboy, and as a result of his personality, he was not the best student. He began his military career at Harrow School, ultimately excelling in history and English. His athleticism showed, as well as he had become the school's fencing champion. His parents were Lord Randolph Churchill and Jenny Jerome. He was closer to his nanny, Elizabeth Ann Everest, than he was to either of his parents. When his father passed away, on January 24, 1895, having only reached the age of 45, Churchill began to believe he too would die early in life. With this new assurance, Churchill believed he should make his mark on the world sooner rather than later. In 1904, Churchill first met his future wife, Clementine, whose heir had a ball at Coolhouse. Churchill and his wife had 5 children, Diana, Randolph, Sarah, Marigold, and Mary. Churchill furthered his military education at Royal Military College. Determined to succeed, Churchill took the entrance exam 3 times. He applied for cavalry because of the lesser requirements, especially since it did not require math. In December 1894, he graduated 8th out of a class of 150. In 1895, he journeyed to Cuba to learn more military tactics. He fell in love with Havana cigars and the island itself. Churchill also stayed in New York with Burke Cochran, a friend of Churchill's mother. A member of the House of Representatives, Burke dramatically altered Churchill's perception of the world. Churchill learned to love America. Later on in his life, Churchill would become an honorary citizen of the United States of America. Churchill began his run in politics in the year 1900 by winning the seat of Oldham in Parliament. In December 1905, Winston became Under-Secretary of State for the Colonies. His main duty was to resolve conflicts in South Africa following the Boer War. After representing Oldham, Churchill ran for Manchester Northwest and won with a high majority. In January 1919, Winston was appointed Secretary of State for War and Secretary of State for Air. Churchill adopted the 10-year rule, hoping and assuming that there would be no great European war for the next 5 or 10 years. In 1922, Churchill rejoined the Conservative Party and later fell ill, which hurt his chance to win very much so. However, he was nominated Chancellor of the Exchequer in 1924 under Stanley Baldwin and controversially brought Britain back to the gold standard. Churchill was very against Mohandas Gandhi and his peaceful disobedience revolt. He wished Gandhi to die on a hunger strike rather than have him get his way with Indian independence. From the start of 1932, Churchill objected to Germany's rearmament after World War I. Churchill was the lone voice calling for the British military to prepare for a major conflict against the Germans. Churchill had hoped Hitler would help the Germans restore peace in Germany. However, Churchill would not favor the appeasement of Hitler. In this time period, Churchill had started giving his famous speeches in larger audiences. He was becoming more popular for his insight with each passing speech. On September 3, 1939, when Britain declared war on Germany, Churchill was named First Lord of the Admiralty and also a member of the War Cabinet. This was Winston's return after his deep accusations of the wrongdoing being done by Neville Chamberlain and his appeasement of Hitler. Churchill was effectively a wartime prime minister from the start of World War II because of his insight about Hitler before Hitler began World War II. By refusing a ceasefire with Germany, Churchill kept British forces against Hitler alive, while at the same time providing the foundation for the eventual Allied attacks of 1942 to 1945. Churchill's speeches got better as he became Prime Minister. His famous "We shall fight them on the beaches" speech was uttered before the Battle of Britain. Churchill inspired British soldiers to fight not only to take Hitler out of power and to win, but to save democracy for Britain and the rest of the world as well. In June 1944, the Allied forces seized Normandy and rid France of Nazi forces. The Nazis retreated to Germany, and Germany was in the end defeated. On May 8, 1945, nearly 1 year later, Victory in Europe Day was celebrated. Churchill addressed the nation, announcing that Germany had surrendered and a ceasefire in Europe would commence at the stroke of midnight. In Whitehall, Churchill said to a colossal crowd, "This is your victory," in which the people replied, "No, it is yours." Churchill's influence on Britain and the rest of the world impacts the success of democracy to the present day. Churchill stressed a special relationship with the United States. He enjoyed working with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The Trading and Lend-Lease Act helped Churchill to thrive in Britain and put up a great front before the United States officially joined the war effort. Churchill made amends with Stalin under circumstances of war. He best said it himself, "If Hitler invaded hell, I would at least make a favorable reference to the devil in the House of Commons." His attitude towards Stalin turned positive as World War II commenced. The British and the Soviets soon became the best of friends, for the sake of the war effort opposing Hitler. As he aged, he himself would not let his age stop him from continuing on being the great statesman he was. However, many young voters in his constituency did not wish to see an 85-year-old man in a wheelchair represent them. With those crucial votes went the rest of his political career. He was very active in public life, although he was no longer a current politician. On January 15, 1965, Churchill endured a severe stroke that left him terminally ill. At the age of 90, on Saturday, January 24, 1965, Churchill passed away. Despite his less involved political years towards the end of his life, Churchill is the man of the 20th century. He changed the world and stopped Hitler from ruling it. If not for Churchill and standing up against Hitler when no one else would, the official language of the world would be German. We would be taking commands from Hitler's offspring. There would be a world composed of only Aryans, and we would be all under a fascist government. Churchill is the man of the 20th century because he saved the world.